To get us started, I would like to respectfully acknowledge that the Alzheimer Society of B.C. operates on traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of Indigenous peoples in all regions of B.C. I am presenting to you from the traditional territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. Our vision of a province whereby people living with dementia feel acknowledged, welcomed, and included will only be possible if they have access to resources and supports that are barrier free, which includes being free from any form of racism, including Indigenous specific racism. I'm so happy and I'm so excited to welcome everyone to today's special session called Ready for Takeoff Dementia Friendly Airport Experiences. We are so glad you're able to join us today for an interactive and engaging session together. In today's session, we will explore how Vancouver International Airport, also known as YVR, which is how we will be referring to it at the session today, is leading the way in transforming air travel to be more accessible, comfortable, and respectful for everyone, especially people living with dementia and their care partners. We have two special guests today who will share insights into the airport's inclusive design and support initiatives. They will tell us a little bit about practical tips for navigating the airport during your travels with confidence and with dignity. And then we're hoping to set some time aside to answer any questions you may have or respond to comments and interactions that we've had along the way. Now, before I introduce my guests, I want to take a moment to introduce myself. My name is Sana Aziz, and I am the strategic lead for dementia-friendly communities at the Alzheimer Society of B.C. In my role, I get the opportunity to work with various municipalities, organizations like YBR, businesses, other faith-based organizations to work towards becoming a more inclusive, accessible, and dementia-friendly workplace, service provider, and or community. Supporting me today and supporting our webinar today and discussion is my colleague Kim McKercher. She's not on camera right now, but Kim will be supporting us in the background with the Q&A portion, responding to your questions in the chat, and Kim will also be guiding us through the Q&A session later on. So thank you, Kim, for your time today. Now, without any further ado, I'm delighted to introduce you all to our guest speakers for this afternoon. I feel really privileged to work with them, and in the time that we've worked together, share many good moments of learning, laughter, and joy. My first guest speaker today is Dr. Jim Mann. Jim is a longtime supporter and volunteer with the Alzheimer Society of B.C. And some of you who are returning for our webinars may have even heard him before. So welcome, Jim. Jim sits on our board of directors as well. He was first diagnosed with young onset dementia at the age of 58 and has been on a mission to make life better for others affected by dementia ever since. Jim volunteers on various committees that require him to travel across the country, which adds to his experience in the airline industry as a former 25-year employee at Canadian Airlines CP Air. A couple of years ago, he participated in the Transport Canada funded project on air travel and passengers living with cognitive impairment or dementia. My second guest speaker today is Mr. Marco Chiaramonte, joining us from Vancouver International Airport as a senior accessibility and inclusion specialist since 2022. As a hard of hearing person with lived experience, his professional career has successfully interfaced with public planning, implementation, accessibility, and inclusion. YVR's long-term strategy focuses on the practical application of universal access and developing an environment that is welcoming and an inclusive space for all guests. Marco proactively engages with communities, airport partners, consultants, and customers to advance YVR's accessibility and inclusion plans and programs. Big welcome to Marco and Jim. Thank you to our panelists and guests for joining us on our webinar today. I want to start us off today by briefly talking about dementia-friendly communities. I'm going to play a very short video, and while I do that, I'm going to leave you with two questions to think about. As you begin to watch the video, think about what it means to be dementia friendly. And may I also suggest for you to reflect for a moment and think if the community that you are joining us from today, do you think your community is dementia friendly?
Did you know that more than 500,000 Canadians, like me, live with dementia? Or that 1 in 5 Canadians care for someone who lives with dementia? Like me, many people living with dementia still live in our communities after we are diagnosed. It isn't always easy, though. Often, we feel left out and worried about how we'll be treated by others. Sometimes people just don't understand what dementia is and how it affects the brain, or know what to do if we forget something or get confused. So they seem frustrated or dismissive. And sometimes the places we'd like to go are just more difficult to get around. I once got lost trying to find the washrooms in a restaurant because of the loud music, poor lighting, and confusing signs. But it doesn't have to be like this. Everyone in the community can play a part in helping people living with dementia feel welcome and in creating accessible and inclusive spaces for everybody to enjoy. When our communities are dementia-friendly, people living with dementia feel less worried about how we will be treated and more confident about going out. Have you ever thought about what it would be like to live with dementia in your community or workplace? Is your community supportive, inclusive, and accessible for people living with dementia? Is it dementia-friendly in ways that let people stay engaged in community life? Would you recognize the signs that someone may be living with dementia and be able to offer the right type of support? Would you be comfortable talking to someone if you knew they were living with dementia? Would you know how to respond if someone seemed confused or had trouble expressing themselves? Are the businesses, organizations, and public spaces in your community designed so people can use them independently without getting disoriented, lost, or experiencing stigma because they are living with dementia? People living with dementia shouldn't have to work harder than everyone else to stay a part of the community. Wouldn't it be great if the neighborhoods and communities that we all share were dementia-friendly? Together with the Alzheimer Society and community members like you, let's keep challenging the stereotypes and building a dementia-friendly Canada where everyone feels welcomed and supported. Take the first step and visit alzheimer.ca/Dementia-Friendly Canada to learn more about Dementia-Friendly Canada. You'll find lots of information, education, and resources to help you and your organization become more dementia-friendly members of your community.
I'm going to pause it there, but I hope that you found that video informative and maybe took away a few things that felt new or a great reminder. But in a nutshell, when we talk about dementia-friendly communities, what we are saying is a community that focuses on stigma reduction and the inclusion of people living with dementia. It's a place where people living with dementia feel supported by individuals, businesses, and local governments and are able to participate to the fullest extent in their communities. Dementia-friendly communities are defined both by their social characteristics. So, as the video mentioned, people being able to recognize signs of dementia and feeling confident and willing to reach out to support somebody who may need a little bit more assistance. And dementia-friendly communities are also defined by their physical characteristics, which means that there is clear and legible signage that's placed at eye level, well-kept streets, and easy-to-use street furniture so that people can use them and it's familiar to them. Some small examples of what we mean when we say refer to a dementia-friendly community. The Alzheimer Society of BC's Dementia Friendly Communities initiative actively works to create these communities across the province. Our approach focuses on stigma reduction, it focuses on enhancing inclusion and ensuring that people living with dementia can continue to participate in their community life. In this initiative, we work with various partners across the province, such as municipalities and businesses, to work towards becoming more dementia friendly with a specific focus on implementing and adapting dementia friendly practices within their individual spaces. Today, we're really proud and happy to highlight one very important partnership that we work together towards becoming with the goal of becoming more accessible and dementia friendly. Vancouver International Airport, or YVR, is committed to creating a universally accessible and welcoming experience for all travelers. As part of this commitment, they have proudly partnered with the Alzheimer Society of BC to better support people living with dementia, along with their families and care partners as they travel through the airport. We started sharing information as early as 2017 with the first green coat training to many volunteers at that time. In 2023, YVR received the Dementia Friendly Large Organization Award from Dementia Friendly Canada. This recognition reflected the ongoing work being done at all levels of the airport to foster dementia friendly travel experience through inclusive design, staff training, and community engagement. Through our fostered partnership, we have provided dementia friendly training to over 200 Green Code volunteers and staff in the past few months. We have also participated in accessibility walkability tours, focus groups, consultations, photo shoots, and other opportunities to engage and build awareness on dementia friendly communities. Here's a little photograph of the group, and you'll see Jim right there and myself too. And this was at the end of a photo shoot that we did at YVR a few months ago. I will now invite Marco to share with us some practical ways YVR has really brought the dementia friendly principles and theory into real life practice. So over to you, Marco.
Thank you, Sana. Hello, everybody. So great to have everyone here. And so today I will speak about sort of the high-level overview of our partnership with Alzheimer Society, as well as to share everything that we have done from a dementia-friendly perspective. Um, I do think it's quite important for airport to have a dementia-friendly atmosphere where air travel can be super challenging, especially when there's an environment where there's lots of noise, lots of business that's going on in the environment. And um, but I wanted to share about our 3-year accessibility plan that's been guided through our community partnerships, consultations, passenger journey mapping, for example, have brought in help us co-create the 3-year accessibility plan where every guest feels welcome, supported, and empowered. Accessibility is part of YVR's core to our identity. We embedded accessibility into how we design, operate, and engage with input from people with lived experience during our approach. And you can find this accessibility plan in the link that will be shared in the chat. Okay, next slide. So in our one of many programs that we offer, one is the Curbside Greeter program. We have a curbside assistance program, which is 24/7 for any guest who needs assistance to get from the curb to the check-in counter with the airline. This includes wheelchair assist, sighted guidance, baggage assistance, and general wayfinding navigation through the terminal. This curbside greeter program complements our curbside assistance program. This is a program that we launched in December 2023. It's a program that has a focus on a concierge style approach. So it's like they're proactively approaching any guest that arrive on our curb with their baggage card and ask if they need assistance. And through that engagement, we have over 20,000 guests that have been supported since the launch of this curbside greeter program. For anyone who need that assistance, we would provide a wheelchair or any navigation you might need to get to the airline check-in counter, and they would provide that assistance going forward. It is a first of its kind hospitality program in an airport environment, and feedback has been overwhelmingly positive with over 20,000 guests supported. And also 95% of the services in this program has been not previously booked. So people can book in advance if you want. You can reach out to YVR contact information and request for that service as well. Okay, go to the next slide. This is a Hidden Disability Sunflower Program. YVR is proud to be part of the global network of Hidden Disability Sunflower Program to support guests with hidden disabilities, and that includes people living with dementia. The Sunflower Program aims to assist those traveling with hidden disabilities that might require assistance, extra time, or support as they navigate through the airport. And we recognize that the traveling can be stressful, especially with those with invisible disabilities that are not noticeable to airport staff. And this program aims to enhance that travel experience for all passengers. And you can pick up, I don't know if you can see me on the screen, but I'm showing what the sunflower line there looks like. It's like green with sunflower logos on them. You can pick up this at any of our information counters. And it's voluntary, it's not mandatory to wear those. You don't have to tell them why you need it or what type of disability you might have. You just go to the front of the information counter and they will just provide that to you without any questions. Okay. Next slide. Okay, so this is the travel rehearsal program. We have launched this program in May 31st, 2024, last year. And this program is an opportunity for any passengers who have a pre-booked travel to rehearse various airport steps before their flight. So this walkthrough will help reduce the anxiety and build confidence mirroring their travel journey on the day of their booked travel. So if you're traveling domestic, we can do that travel rehearsal for the domestic. If you're traveling international, we'll do the rehearsal into international and US. The rehearsal is facilitated by members of our guest experience team and Green Coat volunteers. And through this rehearsal program, we bring together our airport partners, and that includes the Canadian Airport Security Authority, CATSA, Canadian Border Security Agency, that's CBSA, and US Customs Border Protection. And all these programs focus on the empowerment and comfort, and we want to build that independence and confidence for anybody. Might be their first time traveling, or they haven't traveled for a long time, or they're just curious what services and programs are available ahead of their travel plans. Okay, next slide. Quiet room and spaces. So this is through collaboration with many of our community partners, including Alzheimer Society, where we have built a purpose-built quiet room as well as quiet spaces throughout the terminal. They are located in domestic, international, and US area post-security, and these spaces feature sound dampening materials, furniture, soft lighting to provide a calm environment for guests who might experience sensory sensitivities, anxiety, or simply need a moment of quiet before their flight. Next slide. So this is the heart of everything that we do. Comes down to that awareness training. Thanks to our partner, Alzheimer Society, for providing a variety of different types of training that we've used. So we are enhancing the awareness training amongst our guest experience team, Green Coat volunteers, and our travel rehearsal facilitators, equipping them to better support individuals and families through their upcoming travel journey. We also provided training to CBSA, CAPTA, USCBP, our security team partners to better support our travel rehearsal program. And this is um, essential to the success of our frontline workers to ensure that we can approach people with um, in appropriate ways so that we can provide a better guest experience as people navigate our airport. Okay, next slide.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Marco. Actually, that brings us to our handover to Jim. Thank you, Marco, for sharing your lovely the overview and the changes that YVR has acquired over the past to become some of the to implement some of these accessible changes. I will now pass it over to Jim to share his experience as a key collaborator as well as a recipient of some of the changes that you talked about, Marco. So, just so that we can all see each other better, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and then over to you, Jim.
Thank you, Sana. After 25 years working in the air transportation industry and as a person living with dementia, I really am so pleased to be a part of this webinar. Although I retired in 1994, I have kept abreast of the industry and have continued flying. In fact, a few years ago, I flew so many times across Canada that I reached a frequent flyer level, which was amazing to me, especially considering I have Alzheimer's disease and all my trips were to attend conferences, speaking engagements, or committee meetings. With my background and all my travel, I am fortunate to have a familiarity to travel in airports. However, now as I live with dementia, I can be personally challenged making my way through the airport. I do get confused sometimes and disoriented other times. And that's why this webinar is so important. As more and more of us are diagnosed earlier and living well with the diagnosis of Alzheimer's or other type of dementia, more and more of us are not satisfied to stay at home. We do go out in our communities. We get involved and we are seen in our communities, and we also travel. And some people with dementia will travel on their own, while others, me included, will travel with their spouse or companion. From their first step into the airport until they board the aircraft, some passengers may get lost. And with the hustle and bustle of airports, people with dementia may get separated from their companion and become disoriented and simply wander aimlessly. And some will panic. But through the efforts of Vancouver Airport and its many partner agencies, all those involved in supportive roles are keen to ensure an inclusive and supportive air travel experience is delivered for those of us with a cognitive impairment and our care partners. Vancouver Airport and their partners have put a lot of effort towards staff and volunteers learning the right and calm approach to passengers in these circumstances, which is so important to minimize any sort of responsive behavior. Can you imagine the difference this will make as you begin your trip? Let me give you a brief example of what I used to experience versus today's reality. My most challenging part of the airport experience was going through security, where people are rushed, often frustrated, and impatient. Many are stressed because they're late and they would huff and puff, not so subtly, behind me in the line and transfer their stress to me. The result? I would slow down and delay the process because they would make me anxious and I would be distracted. And there would be staff who would make it very clear that my slowness and my being uncertain in my movements was an irritant. And now I am pleased to tell you that has totally changed. It is now a much easier and less anxiety-driven process, which we will talk about. Over these 90 minutes, I hope everyone will come away with something new. Perhaps a tip to make travel a bit easier, or maybe you will hear a reassuring message for your upcoming trip. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jim, for that very brief overview. And you've really segued us nicely into our next segment, which is a panel discussion amongst the three of us. I will encourage our guests, our participants to continue chiming in. I'm seeing lots of great comments in the chat. Please continue to interact and engage with us. Ask any questions you have along the way. Um, I will actually just dive in deep. I do have some very high level questions prepared here, but I'm really hoping that we can have a very informal conversation, Marco and Jim. But um, I'll start with you, Jim. You did share very briefly about some of the challenges that people encounter, especially people living with dementia encounter at airports. Um, would you like to elaborate on that? Any common challenges that you think or in your experience that people face when navigating the airports, especially people living with dementia or even care partners?
Oh, I think there's many common challenges, and especially for people who don't really travel regularly. It becomes almost a new experience each time you go through the airport. I mean, in part because of expansion or of one area or another or construction, it can get overwhelming. But I know just walking through the front door can be almost like that blast of air or something that because all of a sudden you're in this big area that is noisy, that is very busy usually, and people going around and talking and so it's I would say right from the get-go, just take it easy. Just take a moment to stop and breathe and look around and reacquaint yourself or realize, okay, that's over here and that's over there, and this is where I'm going to go to, get rid of my or check in my luggage or whatever. And then once you've done that part, then it is either you're there early and you may wander and look at the shops, or you can go through security. And this is where Marco was showing the sunflower lanyard, and I do have it. This is where the the sunflower lanyard really becomes such an important tool to reduce anxiety because the staff at leading into the security area will see it, and you will go to a line that is more um, for people who might take a few extra minutes, and that has become such a bonus for me, and I'm sure for so many other travelers. Um, and I think Marco will respond with a little bit more detail in that. And then going through, it's always if you are um, unsure, just take a moment, just stop and look around. Um, Make sure you know which gate you're going to, And if you do have a question, there are the green coats who are spread around the airport and who can help you. And something I do now is I go to the gate and stay there. I don't go wandering. I don't go looking around. And I'm sorry to say that to all the people who have stores there, but it's less anxiety experience if I'm happy to stay there. So hopefully that's helping and answer your questions, Hannah.
Absolutely, Jim. Thank you. Thank you for sharing light on some of the common challenges that people experience and you yourself experience. I'm actually going to take one piece that you said and kind of ask you to elaborate a little bit. You mentioned that the sunflower lanyard has made a huge difference for you as you travel, and I can see you wearing it now, and I've seen you talk about the benefits of it
Mhm.
at multiple occasions, Jim. So can you tell us a little bit about what it was like before and after, or in some ways, the evidently difference that it has made for you and really affected how you move through the airports and how particularly people respond to you?
Dementia is an invisible disability. And that's where the benefit of the sunflower lanyard comes in. Because, you look good, and so therefore people have certain expectations. And when you don't respond at, correctly or adequately to those expectations, there will be, in some cases, impatience shown. And and so the before, as I mentioned, I would hear people huff and puff behind me and do get impatient and I've talked about how I could stand in front of the container, and I would put some things in there, but have you put this in, or have you put your phone in? So then I don't know. So then I start the whole process again, checking all my pockets and everything. And it does slow people down. But unfortunately, their impatience would, as I said, transfer to me, and I'd just slow it down even more. Um, Whereas now with the sunflower lanyard, you do get directed right away to that slower line going through security. And so that line in security won't have people who are late for a flight or are impatient. They'll deal with the other lines, and so it just makes me feel a whole lot more comfortable, and realizing that I'm not slowing anybody down. But um, and then even I notice that even, if we stop for coffee somewhere, or a scone or something, that you almost feel a difference in body language, I guess, really, for there's really no other way, but body language from the people serving you, that there is that, okay, take your time, and which again just is comforting, and so I do talk about the lanyard when I can to different people, and encourage people to, if they do have an invisible disability, take advantage of the program, because it will just facilitate you navigating through the airport and reduce your anxiety before you board an aircraft.
That is wonderful, Jim. Thank you for sharing those very concrete examples of how you've directly felt an impact using the tool. And I'm curious, Marco, the next question I'll direct to you, almost as a follow-up to Jim. Tell us a little bit about how the Sunflower Lanyard came to IVR, how it has evolved since inception. What are some feedback that you have received from travelers and care partners, and how have you felt the uptake has been for the program?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Jim, for sharing your experience. It's really wonderful to hear the difference it makes in your experience, the before and after um, the sunflower launch we did. How we came about this is we used to have these stickers in the past that from the autism community where we recognize a person uh, have autism, and we wanted to go more broad to identify not just one disability but multiple disabilities. So it could be a hidden disability or a visible disability. And so we reached out to the Hidden Disability Sunflower Program. It is a program that started in 2016 in the UK.
Mhm.
It has become a global network, and it's in over 300 airports worldwide. We are really proud to be part of this Sunflower program to support guests with hidden disabilities. The biggest challenge to launching the Sunflower program is to bring that awareness to all of our airport partners. That includes our security team to the tenants, the commercial tenants, so the food and beverage team, as well as airlines, of course. So it's just providing that training to all these different partners so that they become aware of the program and what it means to them. And so the program aims to assist those traveling with hidden disabilities who may require additional assistance, time, support as they navigate the airport, and recognizing that traveling can be stressful, especially for those with invisible disabilities that may not be immediately apparent to airport staff. And this program aims to enhance that travel experience for all passengers. And so this is where the training awareness comes in to bring everyone up to speed on that. And the lanyard provides a helpful identifier to airport staff to assist anyone with an invisible disability. Can discreetly identify themselves for extra support from the airport staff. So we have the lanyard, but we also have stickers as well. So the stickers can be put on your boarding pass, for example. If you want it to be more discreet, you don't want to be more visible. It just depends on your comfort level. And then when you go to security, for example, you can show your boarding pass, they'll recognize, right. They'll exercise that extra patience. Um, Passenger with disabilities, they have the option to wear the lanyard, which serves as a discrete indicator to airport staff for that additional help or time that might be needed during the airport process. And you don't have to wear it 24/7, like as you would going to the airport. You can wear it as you feel comfortable. Some people like to wear it as soon as they arrive, right to the gate. Um, they are available at all of our information counters. So any of the information counter, you'll find a green coat volunteer or a guest experience member that often wear a blue jacket or a white shirt, and the green coats will wear their green coat uniform. And you can pick it up from any of those information counters. Also, I noticed in a comment that you can request for it. We can mail it out to you if in advance of your travel, if there's enough time, not the day before, but you can request for it in advance, and we're happy to mail that out to you, the lanyards.
Oh,
Um, yeah, we have promoted this through our community partners, social media. You'll find promo on our display screens at the information counter, and the impact has been really, really significant. overwhelmingly positive feedback on the lanyard, and it's growing. Like the network is growing to other major airports, and even some smaller airports also recognize the program. Air Canada, for example, is also a supporter of the lanyard, sunflower lanyards as well. And the list just goes on and on. So yeah, if any questions, just reach out, and there are resources available on our website at yvr.ca. You'll find more information there, and how you would contact us if you needed one sent out to you.
Wonderful, Marcos. Thank you for that extensive response. I'm pleased to hear that you've received positive feedback, and Jim has shared his own personal experience. And I'm seeing in the chat as well that some people are sharing that they have used it, or some have expressed that they don't know where to get it from. So thank you, Marco, for sharing where to get one from. It's really interesting that a simple tool like the sunflower lanyard can really help in shifting culture in such a big way, or in a small way, as you'd like to see it, and really give people the confidence in some ways, which is subtle yet impactful, and encourage them to navigate the airport in this space. So, Jim, I particularly appreciated your comment around use the program, encouraging people to make note of it, and use the program while it is available, because it seems and it sounds, as from your experience, makes a difference. So thank you to both of you for shedding more light on that. I'm actually going to shift gears a little bit and talk about, move us along. And we very quickly, when we presented in our introductions, talked about some of the work that Marco, we have done and collaborated on as the Alzheimer Society and YVR. But would you like to tell us about the steps YVR took in partnership with the Alzheimer Society to become more dementia friendly? What did the training, the journey mapping, the walkability tours reveal to you and your groups, and the feedback that you received? Were there any unexpected or eye-opening reactions or responses?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, the partnership with the Alzheimer Society of B.C. has been a journey for sure. It's been We started with the conversation of how we can improve accessibility and inclusion at YVR, and one of the first things that we talked about was staff training programs, and this is where we want to go above and beyond, you know, the minimum training requirements, I will call it that. And so we try to bring in a variety of different community partners so that we can instill a more inclusive, welcoming experience for any travelers that come to YVR, and prepare our frontline workers to be able to approach people in different ways, and knowing what to look for, or what signs, what type of communication tips that's appropriate, and so forth. Um, so the dementia-friendly awareness training has really helped enhance our staff to be better equipped to support people living with dementia as they travel to YVR. And this includes the frontline workers that I talked about, the guest experience team, Green Coat volunteer, but also our CATSA, CBSA, USCBP. Those are the security teams at the security checkpoints and customs, so that they're also aware of that. And the key takeaways from the training, it's understanding the stresses for travelers, where they may have trouble adapting to change. So, for example, communication tips to ensure you are facing the person, the individual, face to face, clear communication, have eye contact, and sometimes we recognize that it can be quite noisy in the environment, so we might have the opportunity to move into a quieter space just to help engage with the individual, and speak clearly, and allow time for response. So those are sort of the practicality of how to engage with people living with dementia. Um, One of the key things is introducing yourself, who you are. Who you are. Are you a green coat? Like, they may not know who you are. So that's really important to have that formal introduction, and then and offer to help? Do you need any assistance? And you wait for their response, what type of assistance they might need. They might appear to be lost or confused, and so this is where we would ask for maybe, do you have a boarding pass, or where are you going? Have you checked in your baggage? Do you need help with navigating to the check-in counter? So, for example, and so our Green Coats and Gets Experience can provide and offer those services. That's why um, we're we've been the top airport in North America, recognizing the accessibility at the forefront of our services. Um, and so, sorry, yeah, and slow down and allow for extra time in those conversations with the guests. Another project that we worked on was the passenger journey mapping. This is a project that brought in 24 members from the community. We conducted a research process where we interview all these people, one-on-one interviews, 3 hour at a time, and we would navigate from the curb right to the gate. So we would do stops along the way. So we'll start at the curbside. We'll ask them, what is your experience like at this touch point? Um, um, we would identify what are the gaps, what's working, what's not working for them, what sort of recommendation could be provided at each touch point of the journey. So we started from the curbside, we would go to the check-in, to security checkpoint, to retail, food and beverage, right to the boarding gate. And then we would work our way back as if you were arriving to YVR and answer those interview questions. And that provided us such a rich data around, um, um, yeah, just recommendations in our report. And this helped co-create our 3 year accessibility plan and progress reports as one of the key information collection data points that sort of achieve what we can do to improve services at YVR. Walkability tours, we've done a variety of different types of walkability tours. One is as part of our 3 year accessibility plan, we consulted with Alzheimer Society of B.C. and other community partners uh, to gather subject matter expertise in their own fields and share what sort of things they think should be included in our 3 year plan, and ways we can move forward in improving our infrastructure to programs and services, and our airport partners as well. Um, at the walkability tour, we introduced a travel rehearsal program that I spoke about in my opening statement. But also, we also had training before we launched the travel rehearsal program. We done a formal training on dementia-friendly awareness around our facilitators who are providing the tours, as well as our partners with the Canadian Border CBSA, the CATSA, and the customs team, so that they're also aware what to expect as we travel through the rehearsal. And quiet spaces is another area where we've done a lot of collaboration on just getting more input around the design, the environment, the aesthetics of the space, narrowing down what type of furniture we should be looking into, to what type of graphics that we could put onto the wall, for example. And it's an ongoing process. Accessibility is always ongoing. It's an evolution of change over time to meet those demands that comes forward. And I think I've answered most of your question there, Sana.
You really have, Marco, very thoroughly. Thank you. And as you were saying, I was kind of reflecting on all those, I think, what was it, like 8 or 9 sessions, Jim, that you and I collaborated and presented on. And I was just remembering the kind of experiences people were sharing. And what really struck me in those interactions was that a lot of it was people in their hearts to know what was the way to approach. And yes, sure, we went with a lot of information and training. It was very well received, but some of those stories that we heard from the staff and the volunteers was just so raw and pure about how the human touch, a smile, just, being patient, just taking the time, or just recognizing that there's time needed, were uh, some small things that could have significant impact. So, Jim, I would love to hear from you as somebody who was truly a key partner and collaborator in developing these changes, whether it was the training, the walkability tours, or just all the other consultation you've been heavily involved with in our partnership with YVR, as well, of course, from your perspective of someone living with dementia. How does it feel? How did it feel to be part of this collaboration? And more importantly, what impact do you think it has had on future travelers, including yourself?
Well, first of all, Marco, you deserve a gold star for what you had talked about at the start of your last response, because you obviously listened to every word that was said in the training for the Green Jackets. So, um, but as you were talking, Marco, it struck me that one thing that I didn't mention about the benefit of the lanyard is actually you could be sitting at your gate, but then there's a change of gate announcement that you may not necessarily hear or that you may not necessarily understand. But staff will see that lanyard and will pay attention to that and redirect you and help you do that. So that is another benefit. But for me, being a part of all these different initiatives to to assist passengers generally, but to assist especially the passengers living with dementia, has been a real privilege for me, to to realize, first of all, your home airport is trying its hardest to be accessible, and and but the the journey mapping or all these different interviews and so on, and the one that you and I were on all the way throughout the airport were just illustrations of Vancouver Airport doing the best that they can, and to be a part of that was made me really very proud of them, but also extremely happy that those of us living with dementia and also our care partners will feel better, will navigate the airport better, um, and and if they are starting out in at YVR, then they're starting out on the right foot and not at the um, getting on the aircraft and thinking, why are we even doing this? It was such a hassle from the get-go. And so it is important for anybody listening and any future individual who listens to this to investigate what is possible, to feel a little bit more confident as they arrive at YVR, knowing that if they need it, there is the curbside assistance, knowing that there are the green jackets, knowing that the lanyard is available to make it easier to make it better. Because what I don't want people to do is to get a diagnosis of dementia and then go home and say, well, I guess that's it for travel. I guess that's it for driving. I guess that, I guess that's it. And because no, there is so much more. And YVR is doing its damnedest to make it work for the people with dementia. And for that, I thank them and congratulate them.
And I also like to add to that, Jim, for the CATSA security checkpoint, CATSA has introduced a new um, kind of like a customer facilitator, customer service role. You'll find them, they'll be wearing a blue vest that would proactively approach anyone that's coming to the checkpoint, and they would be there to provide any support to get through the security checkpoint, whether that's lifting your luggage onto the X-ray machines or just to share what that process looks like as you go through CATSA security checkpoint. And you can go through the accessibility lane or family lane. They're both work together. So you don't have to go in a longer lineup after the normal chat. You can if you want. It's optional, but if you find you needed the support or you just want to go through that lane, you can. And where that lane also helps um to for the CATSA officer to recognize that you're a person with an invisible disability, and they can recognize that as well in that way. So that's the one other thing I just wanted to highlight that point.
And Marco, I am so glad. That's what I hoped you would do, because the first time I had someone actually meet me right at the entrance to security was I was overwhelmed. I mean, she just talked to me all the way over to the machine, and where we would go through, and just gave you that extra bit of confidence and comfort, and then gave me actually a tip about putting my wallet in a jacket pocket with a zipper, and not leave it just in the container, which I expressed was a real concern to me. And then all of a sudden she appeared on the other side of the X-ray machine, and was there to reassure me, take your time and so on. And I just was just over the moon with that facilitator role, and it was really wonderful. So, and I thank CBSA for that.
I actually want to thank both of you, really. And I know I'm not even towards the end of the webinar yet, but I, thank you. When we start to talk about all the work that has gone in and all the efforts that have been made, and Jim, you really did um, tap on something very important there, really the crux of it all. It's not it. It's not the end. And all the efforts that are being made is so that people can recognize and feel comfortable continuing their path, their journey in their community life, things that they enjoy. And if travel is one of them, to continue even well after a diagnosis. And I think that our plan to host the webinar today, right in the middle of summer, was actually quite intentional, wasn't it, Men? Because we wanted people to get the reassurance and get the supports. If you do have those travel plans coming up, if you want to make those travel plans and you're hesitant, like this is the time. I hope that what we're talking about today and sharing with you, and I'm hearing and I'm reading in the comments, so hope you're finding that helpful and inspiring. And I'm looking at the time, we have about 29 minutes together, and I know some questions have come in from our participants. But I will ask you one final question, Marco and Jim, before we hand over to our participants to ask their questions to us. Um, And I think I want to ask you both the same question. I have like three different questions. I'm trying to think which one I would, but I think there's one that I would love to hear your thoughts on. And maybe Jim, we'll start with you if that's okay. Um, if there is one feeling or experience you hope every traveler with dementia has when going through YVR Airport, what would it be?
Relief.
Love
Um,
that. Yeah.
I, I, I haven't seen it in the chat, but I really do expect that going through security is the most anxiety experience for most people. And so that to me is sort of the number one area that um, has been sort of the negative focus, certainly for me. And I have heard anecdotally it has for others. And so to have that um, problem, issue, whatever you want to call it, that service um, solved, if you will, by their attention to the Canada Border Services attention to details and to assisting passengers who may need that extra time, to have that focus and to realize that they as an organization have had that focus and sought a solution um, in concert with YVR and also other airports, um, I think has to be the best, the number one um, problem that found a solution for passengers.
Well said, Jim. Thank you for sharing that. I really take to heart the relief that I hope people will experience and through the different programs available. And then, Marco, I will direct the same question to you. If there was one feeling or experience you hope travelers, your guests, as the service provider that you are, especially guests traveling with dementia and family members or care partners, that one feeling that they take away, what would that be?
I would say I want guests to recognize that they feel welcome and included as they come to YVR, with the expectation that um, our staff are there to help to provide the services, and we want to ensure that everyone have that confidence to be able to navigate, whether it's independently or with family, caregiver, support person. Um, all of our partners, I would say, feel the same way in this approach. Jim, you shared about the CATSAT experience, what that was like, and communication is really key to um, going through CATSAT, especially because it's such a high anxiety touch point, where because you have to take out your belongings, you have to listen to the officer. You know, it is an uncomfortable zone, and we all recognize that. But one of the key thing is if there's any medical requirements or anything like that that they should be aware of, just communicate with them.
That's
They're super supportive. They're helpful to make it easy for you. They will still have to do their jobs. They have to scan the devices and things like that to make sure it's all good and all of that. Um, One of the things that to when if you're traveling with someone like a support person, and you would get separated as you go through security through that just that one moment in that time. But again, you want to communicate with the CATSA officers so that they're aware you're a team together, or you're together in a group, and so that they don't wander off after you get through
right.
the X-ray machine. I'll call that. Um, So the biggest takeaway for me outside of that, it's the feedback that we gather from people coming to YVR, good or bad. We take criticism, we take positive feedback, because we also want to really we take feedback very seriously, and we want to we track all the feedbacks, and we action them, and if it's airline related, we approach the airlines, and that's the other component is when you're traveling to YVR or any airport for that matter, is you also, if you need assistance through the airline, you do want to reach out to the airline in advance where you can, because once you pass security, for example, it's more in the airline's hands in terms of providing the assistance. So yeah, that's the other piece that I don't think it was shared yet is the airline. It's a big part of this process as well. Yeah.
Thank you, Marco. And I think what I'm hearing loud and clear from you and is that commitment from YVR to be there and to support in the best way possible. So asking, having, taking the time to ask for that, recognizing that support in whatever shape or form that looks like is available and would be available is really good to know. Thank you to both of you for um, chiming in and being so kind in responding to the questions I was putting forward to both of you. I know we've had a very interactive chat, and I'm so grateful for that. And I've particularly admired how everyone is trying to support one another and find answers to questions and um, really provide information that's available. So, big thank you to our participants for being so engaged and supportive throughout this time. I'm actually going to now tap. Oh, yes, Jim, please
Then
go
I
ahead.
just
Of
I just
course.
want to highlight one chat that just Natasha sent saying, "Thank you, everyone. Can't wait to travel again." That is making me very happy. And that is the purpose of the webinar, to try to give that assurance, that reassurance. So I hope your next trip is a good one. Anyway, sorry I cut you
No,
off, but
I'm
I did
I'm
want to
very happy.
acknowledge that.
No, thank you for highlighting that, Jim. Please, you don't have to. You're welcome to speak at any time. Um, I'm actually going to invite Kim, who I see is coming on video. Thank you, Kim, for being so wonderful in the background. Uh, Kim, maybe would you like to summarize for us what you've been hearing and reading on the chat, and then perhaps even ask the first question that has come up?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And I'd just like to say thank you to everyone who's tuning in today, because there was amazing feedback and personal experiences shared in the chat box. Wonderful interaction. So thank you. So we asked at the very beginning kind of what people found or most struggled with when navigating an airport, and also what people found helpful. And I'll just quickly kind of highlight some of the responses from the chat. And so, Jim, I know you touched on this, but security did come up as being stressful, particularly for a family member living with dementia who has a pacemaker and has to remember that they can't go through the regular screening process. So kind of challenges like that might come up. A general reduction in in-person services can be challenging, as well as navigating the self-service kiosks at airports. Can be hard for people living with dementia. Uh, Difficulty checking in luggage. So there can be long lines that move quickly with little instruction, and just the struggle to get the baggage up on the conveyor belt in the right order. And those types of things can be challenging. And then washrooms came up a few times. They're large and they can have multiple exits sometimes, and it can be a source of someone potentially getting separated. And so one individual suggested using the family washrooms in airports has been really helpful. So thank you for that suggestion. And then so many people shared positive feedback about using the lanyard and the Sunflower program, and how it helped them navigate the airport, helped them people slow down and just give them more time and care. So that is wonderful in a situation where someone did get separated. how helpful the staff was at the airport, including an RCMP officer, and helping them relocate their family member. So I just wanted to share some of that feedback. There's much more. And so thanks to everybody for sharing their experiences. And we do have some questions too. Some of the questions that came up have been answered as the webinar moved along regarding the Sunflower program, kind of logistics and how people can order them. There was a question, is there, like in terms of accessibility, would you recommend people order them online or go in person to their local airport? Is there any advantages?
It's more of a preference. We have information counters throughout the terminal in post and pre-security. So they're quite easily to find. But if you're traveling, say, 2 weeks in advance, then if there's enough time, then we can certainly mail out the lanyard. You just have to reach out to YVR. I think someone shared the email contact in the chat. You can also call YVR as well. There is a customer phone number. I can't remember the number on top of my head, but yeah, you can request for us to mail it out as well. Yeah.
Great, thank you. And there were some questions about specific airports in Canada or in BC that are participating. Is there a list available anywhere, or is it best just to call your local airport?
There is a list available on the Hidden Disability website. They have a
Okay.
map, a global sort of list of available airports that have the Sunflower program. And it's also a good idea to check their website. They usually have content related to accessibility on the airport's website. If not, you can always reach out to them directly.
Wonderful, thank you. And are they recognized on the flight by different airlines typically? I know different members of the staff in the airport recognize them, but is the same experience for people on board?
It's a great question. It depends on the airline because some airlines have bought into the Sunflower program, like Air Canada, British Airlines, for example, are part of that
Okay.
Sunflower scheme. Um, I'll caution on the side that not every airline may not be aware of it, but at YVR, we have shared with all of our airline partners. Um, but of course, there's many people working in the airport or the airline, so not everybody may be aware of it, but we try to have everybody to be aware of it. We've done our we have what do you call it, posters that we shared
Okay.
to staff could put in their break room. There's a poster about the Sunflower program. We shared like a one-pager to various different partners on the meaning of the Hidden Disability Sunflower program. So we tried to amplify the awareness piece, and it's of course an ongoing process to continue that awareness.
Of course. I see in the chat people are sharing already some of the airlines that have
Oh, great.
recognized it as well. So thank you for that.
And actually, I'm going to just
Mhm.
also add a point here. As people were saying, I quickly did a search on the Hidden Disabilities program. And while they do have a list, I think there's a question, and maybe I'm jumping the gun, but the question if other forms of transportation have
Yeah.
the Sunflower program, I found that was a very, very interesting question. And I'm very curious as well. As far as we know in BC, um, not particularly, but I was doing a quick search and it seems that there are some transit services across globally that are have incorporated or not. But I think this is really a great way for us to continue to advocate. It sounds like it is a tool that is is successful in the airports, and it seems like there are people in this group who have used it. Jim, of course, your own experience. So I think I'm making a mental note for myself to connect with the partners that we work with to encourage them to look into it. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I thought that was an excellent question as well. So thank
Yeah.
you. And then there was a question around language options too for the lanyards. Are they universally recognizable or can you order different language options?
Um, Quite I understood the question in terms of language options. So the sunflower lanyard is universally recognized in
Okay.
from a YVR perspective, globally as well, I would say, because it's the logo that represents the hidden disability sunflower. Um, because it's a global network, every country would have their own, language on that.
Okay.
Um, um, I don't think I've answered your question, unfortunately, but
No, I think it makes sense that the logo is kind of universally represented, and then depending on
Mm.
where you're traveling there.
yeah.
And I think there's some information being shared in the chat as well. So thank you.
Yeah, and speaking of language, just to share, we do have
Mm,
remote translators that are available at YVR. So if a guest arrives and they speak a language that our staff may not be familiar with, we can bring in a remote translator on our mobile device or an iPad that can help facilitate the communication if it's not English or French. So we do have those resources available just for awareness.
thank you.
Yeah.
One question that maybe I'll direct to you, Jim. Do you carry a doctor's letter with you when you travel, just in case you became disorientated? Is that necessary or something that you would do?
No, I
No.
do not. But I do have what I do wear when I leave the house is my sunflower lanyard all the time, not just when I'm flying. But at the what I do have is this from the Alzheimer Society. Please be patient. I have Alzheimer's disease. It's it's being very direct, but it's my it's my doctor's note, so that if I am disoriented or if I end up in hospital or whatever, then that information is up front, so everybody is aware of it. For me, it's a safety thing.
Thank you, Jim. I don't know if there's a response to this question, but do you find that higher speed and altitude in today's planes might cause greater challenges for people living with dementia or greater anxiety? I don't know if that's something you've heard about. No, we might need to go to
No.
an engineer or something on that one. But good question. Okay, those were all the questions that had come in previously. I'll just quickly scan if there's anything that you would like to say, any final remarks. I'll do a quick scan to see if there's a question in here.
Thank you, Kim, for doing that. And I see on the chat just there are questions around where to get the card from, the Q card that so we don't have the link readily available on where to get it from, but we encourage you to contact the dementia helpline. They will be able to help you get access to the communication, the Q card that Jim just referred to, which he wears, which indicates that he is living with Alzheimer's. And there's two types of cards that are available. So we would definitely encourage you to call the dementia helpline if you'd like access to that. We're
There,
almost towards the end. Sorry, yes, go ahead, Kim.
there is one final question for Marco
Sure.
around YVR's, I guess, advocacy with other airports around the world. Do you share kind of your success and encourage them to follow suit?
So what was the question again?
Just if you reach out to other airports around the world and talk about your success in terms of accessibility.
Yeah, for sure. We are part of I'll speak from the Canadian perspective first. We are part of the Canadian Airport Council Accessibility Working Group, and this is where all other Canadian airports from coast to coast to coast get
Okay.
together on a monthly basis, and we share our success, our problems, statements, and so forth. And for example, last year we put out sort of a training, disability awareness training that we all work together, called the Canadian Airport Accessibility Training. And this allowed us to have a training tool for all staff to utilize and create that consistency across all other airports. So we all have the similar type of trainings, same language use, and same type of customer service approach, and so forth, because we recognize that when people have different types of training, it could be different experiences at each airport. So we try to bring that consistency forward. There is an accessibility roadmap, kind of like an accessibility plan for the Canadian Airport Council accessibility working group, that where we take on different projects that we want to achieve going forward, type of thing. So there is that collaboration between other airports and sharing success between each other, learnings and different spaces like quiet room, for example. It's a big topic around quiet spaces and sensory rooms, for example. Um, um, and and internationally, yes, YVR as a whole does collaborate with other airports, and sometimes we collaborate with specific airports, like if we heard about or there's a feedback that's shared about this particular program or services, and that would be good for YVR. Um, so we have reached out and collaborate and just get input into that. Um, and then we do regular consultations with, we work with accessibility consultants on a monthly basis as well, who are people with lived experience, also subject matter expertise. So we bring all those insights into our team to help improve a welcoming experience.
Thank you. Thank you all. I learned so much from this panel discussion, so thank you.
And thank you, Kim, for carrying us through the Q&A session and for summarizing all the great information that has been shared on the chat. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate that support. We are almost towards the end, and before I actually reshare my screen to just say some final words, I do want to give our panelists, our speakers, one quick round or one quick minute to say any last few words you have for our participants. Jim, Marco, anything you'd like to
Yeah, I'd like to share about the travel
say
rehearsal
in conclusion
program.
to our time together?
Yeah, I just want to share the travel rehearsal program for those who might be interested. You can go to our website, and there is an email there, travel_rehearsal@yvr.ca, or you could call us 604-207-7077, and book a travel rehearsal. The only caveat to that program is you got to have a pre-booked flight in advance, so that you could be part of that journey if you want to experience all the different touch points that we already talked about, or any others. I think washrooms, someone summarized the washrooms, and that is a big component of one of our favorite topics at YVR, to ensure that washrooms are accessible. So every washroom bank also have a private single stall washroom, sort of like where it has universal design type of facilities built in. So that is available there as well, with the changing table, grab bars, and all these different features that's important. Um,
Okay.
and lastly, if any question or feedback, please reach out to us. We love to hear from you as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marco. Jim, any final words?
Yeah, I just appreciate everybody attending today, and hope that we have been able to provide little nuggets of information that may have been new or will help give them confidence for their next trip. So, no, it's been, I think it's been a great webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim and Marco. And Kim, I will quickly bring us back to some final words from me. Thank you for joining us today. Firstly, a big thank you to our panelists. You're an inspiration, and your work in this field is very well appreciated, welcome, and thank you for all the work that you do. And thank you for continuing our partnership with the Alzheimer Society of B.C. It's really been an honor. Thank you to our participants for joining. Please do feel free to provide your feedback on the session today. It's really helpful for us to know what you enjoyed, what was good, what was could be better. So we're able to bring you more information about our dementia-friendly community partnerships that we've been carrying through. The recording will be available shortly after, and also a list of our webinars can be found and the link here, and I believe that will also be posted on the chat. If you, I would like to direct your attention if you have any more questions about today's session, the First Link Dementia Helpline services are available Monday through Friday. We also have the helpline in different languages, so you're welcome to please take a look and do feel free to connect with us, even if it's questions about this webinar. They know how to find us, and they will direct your comments and questions our way. The link to the recording will be available. I believe somebody asked that on the chat. Will be available on the on-demand webpage and YouTube channel within a week, along with some other information and helpful links that we shared today. Finally, I will actually wrap us up. A big thank you. Hoping, as Jim and Marco mentioned, that you have taken away some nuggets or little jewels from today that will inform your travel journey. Wish you safe, happy travels. We hope you travel. We hope you continue to do everything that brings you joy, and a very happy summer. Hopefully, talk to you all soon. Thank you and goodbye.